Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Climate Change Issues. Did he tell Mr McPartlin in Brisbane...
I apologise, Honourable Member, and I say to the front benches of the opposition, this is the Labour Party this time, the previous question is finished with, their interjections will stop. It's simply unreasonable when I call a new question for interjections to carry on like that. John Boscawen, question number 3.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Climate Change Issues. Did he tell Mr McPartlin in Blenheim last night that, quote, if you're not happy with us or you believe climate change is a load of nonsense, then at next year's election vote for a party that doesn't want an ETS?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, I did receive a question at a large public meeting in Blenheim last night on the ETS from a gentleman who asserted that the climate change science was a load of nonsense. I advised him that was not the government's view, that there was sufficient scientific evidence to justify actions to curb our emissions, and that National had campaigned in 2008 to proceed with a moderated emissions trading scheme this year. I also noted he was entitled to support those political parties that viewed the science as a load of rubbish.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker. When he advised Mr McPartlin and other farmers, pensioners, small business owners and householders to vote ACT if they wanted to see the ETS dumped, did he have in mind the number of votes ACT would need to achieve this?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, I actually found the numbers at the meeting last night that actually thought that the climate change science was a load of nonsense was actually a minority, and I think that's reflected in the fact that the only party in the Parliament that does say the science is a load of rubbish is the ACT Party, and I don't note their support in the polls being particularly high.
Mr Speaker.
Nicky Wagner.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister of Climate Change Issues, is the Minister aware of any inaccurate claims made at public meetings on the science and the ETS that needs correcting?
Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, yes I have. I've noted claims by Mr John Boscawen that the European ETS only impacts on industry and has no impact on the price of power paid for by businesses or households in Europe. That is not correct. Just like our scheme, although the obligation is on those emitters, of course the costs is transferred down in Europe to small businesses and to householders. In fact, the international reports show that the cost impact of the New Zealand ETS will be more than half the cost of that which is imposed in Europe.
John Boscawen.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker. What does the Minister say to pensioners Kevin and Gabriel Holden, who told 3 News last night that they are down to 1 bar on their heater and who will have to pay even more for their electricity from tomorrow because of the ETS and freeze near to death, so he can pay hundreds of millions of dollars to foreign-owned forestry companies like Fujitsu Xerox Company, OG Paper Company and Aiuchu Corporation, who didn't even plant the trees?
Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, the interesting thing in Blenheim, as was noted by the very effective local Member of Parliament, is that Mr Colin King, who noted that the Marlborough area will receive $90 million for ordinary New Zealanders that have planted forests. Sorry, $80 million. $80 million who have planted trees, as compared with the $9 million that it will cost Mulberrians in the cost to electricity and petrol price increases. What I found at the meeting is a real surprise that Marlborough is one of the areas that has the largest areas of forests that will earn credits under the emissions trading scheme.
Question number 4. Dr Russell Norman, point of order.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to table a document which shows that climate change deniers John Boscawen and Alan Gibbs gave $300,000 to the ACT Party. It's from the Electoral Commission dated 29 April 2009.
The source of the document?
The Electoral Commission.
The leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. There is no objection. Question number 4, the Honourable Annette King.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.